Emily's heels clicked sharply against the cobblestone driveway, echoing in the eerie silence. A lone figure, dwarfed by the imposing manor, stood frozen in place. Each window, a darkened eye, seemed to watch her every move. A chill wind rustled through the overgrown ivy, whispering sinister secrets the house had kept for centuries. The oak door groaned open, revealing a cavernous hall that seemed to swallow the light. Dust motes danced in the thin slivers of light, like ghostly apparitions. The air hung heavy, thick with the perfume of decay and the weight of forgotten memories. Emily shivered violently, a sense of foreboding clawing at the pit of her stomach. She stepped inside, the echo of her own footsteps the only sound in the oppressive silence. Days turned into weeks, and the silence remained unbroken, like a curse. The mansion stood alone, shrouded in an almost tangible loneliness. Emily busied herself with unpacking, trying to ignore the strange drafts, the flickering lights, the feeling of being watched. Every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind against the window panes sent a shiver down her spine, as if the house itself was alive. One fateful night, lying awake in the suffocating darkness, Emily heard it. A whisper, soft yet chilling, seeping through the walls from the room next door. Her heart thundered against her ribs. She strained to listen, terror tightening its icy grip.
Emily!
Sleep became a distant memory. Every shadow seemed to writhe with unseen figures, every creak of the floorboards a sinister footstep drawing closer. One evening, she caught a glimpse of a figure at the top of the stairs, a woman in a flowing white gown, her face shrouded in shadow. Emily blinked, and the figure vanished. Desperate for answers, Emily scoured the local library. Dusty tomes whispered of the mansion's dark past, of a family torn apart by unspeakable tragedy, of a young woman who met a gruesome end within its walls. The woman in white, they called her. Emily felt a bone-chilling shiver run down her spine. She had seen her, of that, she was certain. One moonless night, Emily awoke to a bone-chilling cold that seemed to seep into her very soul. The room was suddenly bathed in an eerie, ethereal silver light, casting ghostly shadows on the walls. And there, hovering at the foot of her bed, was the woman in white, her presence both mesmerizing and terrifying. Her face, now visible, was etched with a profound sadness that seemed to reach out and grip Emily's heart. Ethereal tears streamed down her cheeks, leaving shimmering trails on her ghostly pale skin. Emily was paralyzed with fear, her body frozen, her breath caught in her throat. The woman glided closer, her sorrowful eyes piercing into Emily's very soul. Then, in an instant, she vanished, leaving behind a faint scent of lavender and a bone-chilling cold that lingered in the air. Desperate for answers, Emily sought the help of Mrs. Hawthorne, an elderly woman known for her knowledge of the supernatural. Mrs. Hawthorne listened intently to Emily's harrowing tale, her eyes narrowing with concern. Her wrinkled face creased further in worry, the weight of Emily's story heavy on her mind.
She means you no harm, child. She seeks only peace and perhaps your help.
Mrs. Hawthorne agreed to conduct a séance. They gathered in the mansion's darkened parlor, a single flickering candle casting eerie, dancing shadows. The air crackled with electric anticipation. Mrs. Hawthorne closed her eyes, her voice a haunting monotone as she summoned the spirits. The candle sputtered violently, and a chilling wind swept through the room. The air grew dense, heavy with the presence of the unseen. A voice, barely audible at first, began to whisper menacingly from the shadows. It spoke of betrayal, of a love violently cut short, of a restless spirit seeking vengeance. The voice grew stronger, revealing the harrowing tale of the woman in white. Her name was Amelia, and she had been brutally murdered by her jealous cousin, who coveted the mansion and Amelia's inheritance. Amelia's spirit remained trapped, seeking retribution for the horrific injustice she suffered. Amelia's voice, filled with sorrow and anger, reverberated through the room, sending chills down my spine.
She begged me, her eyes wide with desperation, to help her find peace.
Her cousin, she revealed, had concealed damning evidence of his crime within the mansion's ancient walls. Only by unearthing this evidence could Amelia's name be cleared and her tormented spirit finally rest.
I was profoundly moved by Amelia's tragic tale and swore to help her. I searched relentlessly day and night, driven by a fierce determination to fulfill my promise. I scoured every inch of the mansion, my heart pounding with a mix of dread and resolve.
At last, hidden deep within the walls of the old library, I found it. A small, locked wooden box, its surface covered in dust and secrets.
As I touched the ancient lock, a surge of energy coursed through me. The lock clicked open with a foreboding snap. Inside lay a diary, its pages filled with Amelia's elegant script, and a blood-stained handkerchief embroidered with the initials RH, the damning mark of her cousin Robert.
With the damning evidence in hand, Emily urgently contacted the local authorities.
The shocking diary entries, along with the blood-stained handkerchief, were enough to compel them to reopen the case.
The authorities, after meticulously examining the evidence, confirmed Amelia's harrowing story. Robert, long dead, had indeed brutally murdered his cousin. As the horrifying truth was unveiled, a sense of eerie calm settled over the mansion. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by an unsettling tranquility.
I felt a profound and haunting sadness. Amelia's tragic story had left an indelible mark on me.
One evening, as the sun began its descent, casting long, ominous shadows across the lawn, Emily saw her. Amelia, no longer a ghostly apparition, but a woman of flesh and blood, stood in the garden. A soft, enigmatic smile graced her lips, and her eyes shone with a haunting gratitude. She nodded once to Emily, a silent thank you, and then faded away, finally free from her torment. Emily confronted Mrs. Hawthorne, her voice trembling with a mixture of rage and betrayal.
You masterminded everything, using me to clear your ancestor's name and seize the inheritance that was rightfully yours.
The elderly woman, her face now a mask of icy calculation, confessed. She had orchestrated everything, using Emily to clear her ancestor's name and seize the inheritance that was rightfully hers. The police were summoned, and Mrs. Hawthorne was arrested.
She had played a perilous game and triumphed, albeit briefly.
With Mrs. Hawthorne gone and the truth unveiled, the mansion finally lost its sinister air. The whispers faded, the shadows ceased their dance, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a serene silence.
Free from the manipulations and terror, I finally felt secure within the mansion's walls.
The haunting of Emily was over, not by the ghost of Amelia, but by the living, breathing deception of a cunning woman.